Welcome to Offgrid Victory. So this is the start of the basic framing for our shed 3.0. It's going to be 16 by 8 feet wide and about 8 feet high. And we are putting it into the woods here. Normally I would not ever advise people to build things or structures underneath trees or in the canopy just because of the potential of tree limbs and trees falling on the structure and destroying it. But in this particular case, we're at the height of the summer here in the Ozarks, and we wanted to use an area that was completely or mostly shaded during the whole day. Now you can see there is some sunlight in that corner, but the rest of it is pretty well shaded. And the way I designed this structure, we have all the trees facing out. Like that's actually going to fall that way, that's going to fall that way. Here's another tree that's going to fall that way. And you can see a fallen tree already over there. But that's not the nature of this video. The nature is just framing a base. And so this particular base is constructed out of 16 foot 2x8s and 8-foot piece 2x6. And so the way I'm doing it, first of all, I am definitely using screws. You want to use good strong wood deck screws. Here I'm using 3-inch wood deck screws, and those are holding these guys up like that. And once again, like our old shed, we are doing this kind of a sled design, or a way to go ahead and transport this guy. So the 2x8s are on the outside and on here and here, here and here. So there's 5 of these guys in an 8-foot section. Let me move back here. And that's going to allow this shed to be moved if we need to, pulled this way and out if need be, and nothing's going to catch at the bottom. The rest of the bracing are these 2x6s here, and these cross bracings are also 2x6s. Now the cross bracings, whenever we need to marry them together and we can't put it in this way, what we'll do is we'll toenail it in here and here and there, and that'll keep the structure in place for the parts in between. And so you're going to get a nice rigid structure. As you can see, I'm standing on it. Now what we're using here are cinder blocks. We have 15 of them here for this structure. We're using Ozark rocks whenever possible, because we have a lot of them to help reinforce it, but it really doesn't even need it. The cinder blocks will do the trick. And one other thing. So you got this really nice base, and on the corners here, to keep it level, to keep the corner square, the whole structure square, we have these 45-degree braces on the corners to keep the structure square. And so that's it. Yeah, here's the start of a base. Now you can use this design for, let's say, a shed like this, or a cabin, or even a deck. Now if I was to go longer than 16 feet, I wouldn't use this type of design. I would use cross bracing or cross bucks. And so what that would look like is in between these 2x8s, I would have, let's see if I can show it to you with the screws. I would have between these two supporting braces, cross bucks like this, 45s, side by side, up against this side and this side. So to distribute the weight going this way diagonally and going from here down this way. So that I would use cross bucks or cross braces, as they call them, for that. But in this particular case, I'm only going 16 feet. So this was enough to use 2x6s in between and just go straight across as a support. And then, of course, because I'm using 2x8s here, I can slide it out without catching anything if I needed to move the structure at any point. The last thing I wanted to say is the other reason why I like using screws like this is because wood is never straight. I mean, you're going to get bent and cup pieces and things like that. Wood is a natural material. It is prone to defects like anything else. And so what you're going to need is a good level for the project. You're going to need some kind of a clamping structure, or let's say something to wedge your wood with, so you can move it and bend it into place like a clamp here. And of course, you can't do without this guy, a T-square, for everything else, whether it's keeping things at a 90 degrees, or even just marking, or even to cut your frame out. You can't go wrong with a T-square, which is absolutely necessary. And of course, good drill. You want to drill every single hole. Now, I know people say, hey, look, you know, that takes a lot of time. Why even do it? Pressure treated lumber's really not going to split very well. All of that. But, you know, I really don't like when projects go wrong and let's say, you know, you start splitting the wood, it weakens the structure, right? So pre-drill every single hole, and that'll give your structure a really nice, firm, let's say fitting too. You know, you're going to have a nice fitting here, and it's going to also prevent, like if you had nails, for instance, if the wood ever started to buckle or bend, let's say just because of strong winds or just natural, let's say natural dehumidification of the wood, and so it's going to bend and twist and cup in the way it wants to, it could ultimately force the nail out, but not a screw. So if you use screws like this is going to stay in place. It's going to keep the square that you had going in the first place, and ultimately you're going to end up with a structure that's very solid and very useful for a very long time. Alrighty, shalom.